Alrighty, got y'all guys all on the workbench. And I think you can see everything I'm going to do here. So what I've got off camera, I just set these actuators up by our standard method for what we do for actuator preload. There's a video about that. We'll put a link to that here in just a second so you can watch it. But short takeaway version is the actuator needs preload on it. So I stretched the length of the actuator rod exactly half of this pin diameter. So you have to stretch it, essentially half a hole to get the rod to snap over the wastegate swing arm. And what that does is that gives you preload in the system and the baseline boost pressure of what this actuator is intended to do. So these are a pair of our 300ZX Z32 500 horsepower upgrades. They're real simple turbos. They're not high boost pressure. This customer's going for, just basically a stage one refresh on his car. And what I've done is pretty straightforward. Vacuum hoses hooked to the reference ports of both gates. These hoses do fit tight, so I don't have zip ties read on either one of them. But if you have any type of loose fit, boost leaks, air leaking out of anything, please address that because you don't want anything to skew this test. So the reason why I started out with half a hole worth of stretch on both of them, I want to show y'all guys the importance of needing to balance out actuators to make sure that the turbos perform right. You don't want one turbo working harder than the other, and that's in the lowest common denominator. That's what's going to happen if one wastegate opens sooner than the other. It's going to slow this turbo down. This turbo is going to, have to make up the difference, and it's just an imbalance of the whole system. Is it huge? Probably not in the grand scheme of things, because it's probably going to be within half a PSI or so. If I just had to guess, maybe one at worst. The 300Zs I probably picked one of the worst case cars to show you this demonstration on because of the geometry difference between these two. Not only is there an angle difference between the way it pulls against the gate, but there's also a pivot point difference. It's very minor, but this center line and this distance here is different than this center line and this distance here. So it's a different leverage ratio. So don't ask me why, but that's the way Z32s are. So what I'm going to do, very simple. I'm going to add pressure through a regulated source, monitor it through the gauge. I've got it teed into the regulator here. Just looking on camera, make sure you can see it. And that way we can monitor pressure and see where we're at as far as movement of these actuators. So let's start off. I'm actually going to use, because these are easy to get to, sometimes I'll reference the actual end of the motion here on the end of the rod on the actuator. But since I can gain access to the swing valve and the actual sealing valve, I'm going to feel it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to add pressure, and I'm going to feel for the point at which that valve comes off of the face of the turbine housing or comes unseated. All right, so this one's unseated right around 12 pounds on this gauge. So let's feel this guy over here. It's bleeding off a little bit. There's 11. We're going to call this one 10. 10 is about the same point at where it gets loose. So we've got close to a pound of difference here between the initial crack pressure of these actuators. To me, that's unacceptable. I'm not going to let anything go out the door of our shop that way. So if you get actuators from me, or turbos from me, that are already set as a pair of twins, they will be balanced to within half a PSI is about as good as we're going to get. We'll strive for excellence and perfection. But in my years of doing this, I found that that's about what to be expected, is about that half PSI range. So what do I need to do? We know that this guy is higher pressure than this one. The customer wants me to get him closer to 12 pounds of boost. of crack pressure because he does have an electronic boost controller on the car. And he has, and we'll go into that actually right now. If you put an electronic controller or you have to redo any of your vacuum lines on your car, please make sure that they are as equal length as possible from the pressure source to each actuator motor or canister. That does make a difference. And half a pound of difference is just the start of it. I've seen cars that with the extra length on the hose can make a pound, pound and a half difference. It's mainly in the crack pressure, but that's still important. Once the air pressure equalizes in the system, they tend to perform more linearly and respond, as a matched pair. But let's do everything we can to make it as perfect as we can. Because you're here watching this video, you want to know how to do that. So this one's super simple. Let's start off by releasing the pressure on both, loosening our jam nut on both. And Nissans are neat. They got little hairpin clips, which are super cool if you're used to working with the little E-clips on other Garrett turbos. Now, your turbos may have different types of adjustable ends, like a Borg Warner is going to have, or an IHI or a Mitsubishi. They're going to be different, but if they're adjustable, this applies to any actuator that has a threaded adjustable rod on it. That is pneumatic, not electronic, obviously. So let's start off because we know this guy right here is lagging behind ever so slightly. So we're going to put half a turn more preload into this and see if that gets us a little closer to our goal. But we need to also raise the boost pressure. So we're cracking right now that 10 PSI range. He wants 12. Let's go our half turn to make up the delta between the two. And then let's add another flat and another flat. So we added one more full turn on top of that half. And I like to use the airline to help stretch this guy back over because they are tight. All right, so this guy here, we're just gonna go one turn in on him. There's half, there's one. And if you need to put a reference mark on this with a Sharpie marker so you can keep track of it, that's cool. I do it all the time, especially when it's in the chassis. I've put a black line and a red line on them sometimes just so I know where I'm at on one flat or the other, so you have consistency. So if you're on a half a turn or a full turn, if that makes sense. All right, so let's add some pressure back to this guy. Now, it is important, once you do put these back on, don't be lazy. I've done it before and it will bite you. Go ahead and tighten all your hardware up. Everything needs to be just like it's going to run on the car. Put all your pins and clips and everything on so there's no chance of something moving off center or throwing variables in here that we don't need to deal with right now. All right, so there we go. So what I'm going to do, make sure I got you still in frame. So 10 PSI here is where we were roughly at. We're going to just visually, we're going to put our hands on both of them and watch. We're going to try to see where they start to open. There's 11. It's 13. Maybe going a little bit more aggressive than needed to, but that's 13 crack. This one's a little looser, but the gauge should creep up a little. It's important to watch and feel at the same time. Yeah, there's 12 and a half, 13. Let's back it down to 12 exactly. All right, that one's still tight. This one's still tight at 12. 12 and a half loose, 12 and a half loose. All right, so at this point, that half a turn made up the difference in the crack pressure. You do want to go one step further and watch the total travel. And this is, you can set your phone up and record it. We all got this technology in our pocket. Why not use it? Set your phone up where you get a good angle, unlike me in the video where you probably can't see jack. But do yourself a favor and set everything up. And then just watch for when both of them kind of travel. Make sure that everything's kind of happening at the same time. These guys, I'm way over what they're going to do, but fully open at 20 PSI. This is going to need a little bit more, 21 PSI. So even across their stroke, they're really, really close. This one's still visually moving first, but Something you do have to consider is wear. If it's a brand new set of turbos, these are, I don't know if I mentioned it, just a set of upgrades we did. No telling how many miles are on them. I'd imagine well over 100,000. You're going to have ever so slightly some play in every single one of these parts. That does have to be taken into consideration. So even though we restored the rod ends here, we measured the end play on both bushings. They're within Garrett's specification. So we're good there, but we've got... I'll pull on this a little bit, actually kind of help like simulate a little exhaust back pressure. And I'm still getting that 12 and a half, even though it looks like this one's moving ever so slightly faster. It's, I think it's just, or just doing a little sweep where I pass by it kind of fast. Yeah, this one's definitely got a little bit more play in it. So you see it's moving first, but I think it's the actual play and then the leverage difference between it that's throwing us off, because they are both feeling about dead on when you pull pressure back and forth or put pressure on everything there. All right, so this guy's definitely lagging behind. It was weird that my first little crack pressure, it was off a little bit more the other way. Now it's kind of flip-flopped. I'm gonna cycle these babies a couple of times. I've done this in the past where you just get everything moving just in case the spring wasn't seated good in the diaphragm plate, or yeah, because even watching it, your eyes are going to tell you this one's moving first. Ever so slightly first. So we're going to learn something together here. Maybe exercising your actuators, if they're new, is a good idea. Just to make sure. And if it's a new reassembly, even with a used actuator, maybe not a bad idea either. Like I said, I've been doing this my whole adult life, and I tell you, I'm not kidding. I get bored of things very easily. If I wasn't learning something or something wasn't challenging me, I would be doing something else in a heartbeat. Turbos still challenge me. So we're going to take that half turn back out of this guy. So we're back to equal amounts of turns. So, which these are new actuators. We try to buy from the best suppliers we can. And, you would hope you would get consistency between them. And I have no idea if they take into consideration that there is an angle difference or a pivot point difference. These actuators come from my friend Brian at B&R Supercars. Brian is absolutely top of his game. And if you need Z31 upgrades, we do them, but Brian also offers them, I believe. If not, then contact us. We're a distributor for him. We can get you hooked up. But these are some of ours, but we used actuators from him. So we did all the machine work and everything else in-house. Let's see. Quit rambling and go back to on point here. Let's just do the visual again. We learned something big today. Exercising actuators is important. This guy's still lagging behind. Didn't start off that way. Or this bad. Man, it is close though. It's 12 and a half. Somewhere in here I should insert my love for my Chinese air pressure regulator over here. This is a cheap one. This is probably like a $10 regulator from Harbor Freight. And it is not a true regulator. Well, it is, but it's not one of our higher end ones that we would normally put on a car and use like for boost control. If you watch my boost control video on the Twins, just cheap, easy boost control. Yeah, this guy is still opening a little bit faster. We're 180 out from where we were. So yeah, dude, we don't do Twins a lot. I'm going to exercise every actuator. We all need to exercise more, right? So now we're actually half a turn extended more than this one. Let's see what I get this there. So there's 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half. We're barely loose, 12. Perfect. I think we hit it nail on the head there. Oh yeah. So our takeaway from today's lesson: exercise. All right, so tighten down all your hardware, and this guy is good to go. These are balanced. We'll record them on our data sheet for the customer, and all is good. I've gotten a lot of questions. Let me back up. I've got a lot of suggestions and questions from y'all guys that are super useful, and I do appreciate them. Being a small shop, we're just working through this the best we can. We've got high hopes that the YouTube channel takes off, and we end up with the ability to make more in-depth videos. I literally have a binder full of hundreds and hundreds of videos. My brain never stops. I would love it if y'all guys, even if this tech is not necessarily educational to you, you've been around the block a time or two, like it, comment, do the things that YouTube needs us to do to get our channel out there. Because when I tell you I've got tech that you're going to love, I've got tech you're going to love, but some of it is literally days and days, if not weeks worth of work for us to do. Like if you want to know the difference on real world on how a 7+7 blade compressor wheel works versus an 11+0. I've got a test car that has enough data logging capability to send it to the moon. but I need the resources to do it. So the resources right now are simple. It's not money. It is your involvement with my channel. And that is the most important thing to us. The more we can get out there, and yes, ultimately it needs to try to make us some money. We're thinking about ways to do that. I don't want to make this content inaccessible to anybody. I feel like everybody needs to have this content. And for me, it is, if I can help you, I'm here. We're a full service shop. We rebuild turbos all day long. We do upgrades. We sell new ones. We're dealers for all the major brands. So go check out our website, workturbochargers.com. Send me a message down below in the comments, or hit my contact form up in the website and say, hey, Reed, I liked it. Or hey, Reed, your camera work stinks. Gotten those too. And you know what? We're learning every day, and we're excited to keep this up. And I've got a ton of stuff that I want to bring to you guys, and I want to continue to do it as efficiently as I can. But being a small shop and staying busy, it's hard to break away from the money makers and get the content done. But I'm still going to do it. It just may take me a little while. We're going to try not to throw out just filler content unless it's really, really, really fun. I know a couple of my videos here lately have been kind of simple, but you know what? I'm not really worried about the YouTube algorithm. I'm worried about you and getting content in front of, I don't need 40,000 subscribers. I need the ones that are important. Now, if there's 40,000 of y'all guys that think this is important, then hey, I'll take them. But that's it, man. We're simple and we're accessible. You're talking to the owner of the shop right now, or seeing him on camera. It is me and my brother, my wife, and my good friend David. That is all. That's what produces all of the website, all of the social media, all of the turbos you see being built, everything that comes through my shop. Not gonna lie to you, not everything, but I'm gonna say 95% of the work that comes through my shop has my two hands on it, for quality control, for specifications for the build, hit me up. I don't care if you're building a land speed record car that you're wanting to go set records with. You got a daily driver diesel truck that you just want a little bit better economy or better boost response or whatever your goals are with a turbo. I will try my best to help you out. And if you need parts, whether it's a cartridge for a turbo, a shaft nut, gasket set, hit me up. If it's not on my website, that doesn't mean we don't have it. I mean, I can guarantee you there's not everything, by a long shot, not everything that we can help you out with on our site. But I'm open to taking care of you guys, the do-it-yourselfer, the hobbyist, the person that doesn't know anything and just needs their turbos taken care of and sent to their mechanic. I'm your guy. We can make it happen. But I do appreciate y'all watching it and taking the time out of your day to soak up this info. And hey, I hope you have a great rest of it. And we're going to catch you on the next one. It's coming. Y'all guys have a good one.